We bring in the Sabermetric super panel, Vince Gennaro, Sarah Langs, and Mike Petriello. Vince, you're first with your list. It's star-studded, very difficult, at least I thought it was, to discern in the top four, top three. It's very tough.
It really was. I mean, it's a really packed list at third base. You know, some of the positions this year are a little thinner, but third base is not one of those. It's packed. I've got Anthony Rendon at number 1 and Alex Bregman at number 2. Very close. I would give the slight edge to Rendon based on his defensive value over Bregman. Nolan Arenado at number 3, another player that I think belongs in that top 3. I have Chapman, the other great defender, at number 4. Jose Ramirez at 5. I have Josh Donaldson and Justin Turner at 6 and 7. Two guys are a little on the downside of their career, but still putting up huge numbers. Eugenio Suarez at number 8. Rafael Devers at number 9. And Manny Machado at the bottom of my list at number 10.
Right, so you go Rendon. Mike, you go Rendon. I go Alex Bregman, number 1. Sarah, you go Nolan Arenado, and not off his best year.
I did not expect to be the outlier here, but here I am. I really just went with his track record more so than the specifics of 2020 and the fact that the defense did carry over. I mean, we've talked about giving some grace to guys who maybe didn't perform at their best in 2020. He was on that list for me, and I really expect him to bounce back in 2021. He's a perennial MVP candidate. The defense is so good. Another Gold Glove. He's going to break Ichiro's record for the most consecutive Gold Gloves to start a career, and he's not doing it with a full professional career prior to it the way Ichiro did. So I really thought that my top 3 could have gone any way. I had Jose Ramirez 2nd. I had Anthony Rendon 3rd. I had them in other orders at various points, and I could defend it any of those ways, but yeah. I gave him that spot.
See, I knocked Arenado back, and only because there's so much competition. So he went down for me at number 5, but I understand you could have him in that top mix. Mike, you got Rendon, Ramirez, Bregman. So how close was it for those top 3?
Bregman was clearly my 3 because Rendon and Ramirez were basically tied. I actually flipped them at the very last second. I almost had Ramirez number 1. I went Rendon number 1 because 5 straight star-level seasons, right? He's like most king of consistency. Strikeout rate is 13% every year. The defense is great. It's hard for me to argue against him. I almost went Ramirez because if you look at the last 5 seasons of baseball, Ramirez has been a top 5 player. I don't think people really understand that because you focus on Lindor in Cleveland. I think that's part of it. And then also Ramirez had an entire calendar year where he forgot how to hit, and that's wrapped up into here. He was trying to beat the shift. He eventually stopped doing that. He started crushing the ball. He's a pretty good defender, too. Not quite as good as Rendon. That's the difference for me.
And this Manny Machado, I think, is the most fascinating player, like year to year, because most years, and most people, like, you know, when they attack you on Twitter, I'm not on there anymore, but I hear they attack you. How can you be thinking this? When you actually run the numbers up until this past season, Manny Machado doesn't stack up to the top guys at third base because there's immense competition. There are great players here. But this year, I was a great year from Machado, Vince. So I put him in. I've got him where I have him 6th. We got a 4th. We got a 5th. 10th. So he's still barely making it for you. Why?
Yeah, he did. You know, look, I just think that the position is so deep with talent, and there's some really good young players. Like, in particular, I wanted Devers in there. And you know, I certainly put him in my top 10, and maybe he deserved to be a tad or 2 higher. I definitely do not see him in that same category as Rendon, Bregman, Arenado, and Ramirez, though.
See, I think he's just about right there. Sarah, you did break him in, so you put him above Bregman, just below Rendon.
Yeah, and that was close to a tie for me. I mean, it was kind of Machado getting back to where he had been consistently for a few years, maybe prior to 2019, and what a great season that he had. Bregman not really taking a step back, but having a little bit less good of a season.
All right, where are you, Machado?
I had him number 5, and like you, I didn't have him on my top 10 list last year. And unlike you, I did hear from Padres fans on Twitter
yes.
for an entire year. I put him at 5, just above Arenado. And the reason I did that, I actually prefer Arenado as a player, and they're similarly aged, and they're both very good defenders. I'm a little concerned about Arenado's shoulder injury. You know, that's what set him back. That can be kind of a precursor to a power loss. And Machado, if you look at what he did, you know, after just okay season the year before, kind of increased everything. Like the defense was better, the walk rate was better, the hard hit rate was better. He looked like the guy the Padres thought they were signing.
Right, and he was the guy last year. No, it's a small season, but it's a short season. But he was the guy that most people think he is, right? But if he does this every year, well, he's going to be cracking into the top 5 on a regular basis. Ke'Bryan Hayes making it for Sarah and Mike. So 95 plate appearances, monstrous numbers. You're buying?
Yeah, I'm really buying. He had the most WAR among all position player rookies on Baseball Reference in literally 95 plate appearances, 24 games. That's a counting stat, so he earned all of that. And it wasn't just a flash in the pan because he really showed good underlying numbers. He hit the ball really hard, a 55.4% hard hit rate, and he also did not whiff much, only 18.1% whiff rate. So these are all qualified hitters in 2020, and the guys who are highlighted are Hayes, Trout, and Freeman, because those are the two guys who came closest to that combination of a high hard hit rate and a low whiff rate. No qualified hitter had a hard hit rate as high as his with a whiff rate as low as his. That seems like a really good basis to bring into a full season now.
Which I didn't find room for Rafael Devers. You believe in a bounce back, though, Vince?
Yeah, and again, I'm taking a little bit of a gamble there, clearly, but I do. Here's a guy who's going to be 24, playing his age 24 season next year. So I definitely believe that he showed enough at a really early age to show that he has some elite talent, and I think it can materialize in 2021.
And this season, when we all say, boy, I love Gio Urshela, no, we're fine with him. You love Gio Urshela because he made your top 10.
Which is really funny because I'm always the guy saying, oh, his defense is overrated. Like the metrics don't love him as much as people think. And I still got him on here at number 7. And that's because in 2019, he has this out of nowhere season and everybody wants to know, well, is it a fluke? Again, short season 2020, right? Back-to-back seasons where he's been 33% above league average as a hitter. If he's not an elite fielder, and I don't think he is, he's still a pretty good one. And if you look at 2020, he dropped his strikeout rate. He upped his walk rate. It's not a fluke. I think the bat is for real. I think it's a strong glove. That's pretty good for me.
Right. This is a strong position. It's fun when you're looking at like these numbers. These guys are putting up really what is a golden era at third base. Thank you.